Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Arenas and I am the product specialist for this video. In this video we're going to go over some advanced options in brushes. Alright, so with your brush tool you already should be fairly well versed with the brush tool and dealing with the actual size and hardness and a little bit with the opacity and flow if you don't. There's a video from a previous video that you can actually go over when it comes to that. This one we're going to go over a little bit more in depth with the different stylings of adjusting certain brushes. So if I wanted to say I have my soft round brush here, I can go into my brush panel, brush settings I should say, and from here I can see there are a lot of different brushes for me to adjust here along with orientation and everything else. So my size is here, hardness is here, but this one here is also here, and that is called spacing. And spacing is the spots that are going to be in between the actual brush. So how often is it going to repeat when you remove your brush over and over again. So if I actually space this out, you can tell that with the hardness, let's bring the hardness up all the way up to 100, and you can see how they just space out with throughout the entire brush. So if I actually drop this down, there will be spacing in between those brushes. And then what I can do is I can reduce that spacing if I want it to be a little bit more clustered together and so forth. Now a full area there, it will be great for an actual hard brush, but when it comes to a soft brush or no hardness, it makes it a little bit more prominent. It makes it a little bit harder for you to space things out. So you can have a little bit more spacing when your hardness is lower versus when you have a full hardness or a sharp edge brush. Now everything we do is also affected by the actual eraser tool. So if you want to use the eraser tool to clean some of the areas up to either make something transparent or just to change something around, you can do that very easily. Now if there's a certain brush that I have that I'm actually using, whether it be something along with the charcoals or something that is going to be my traditional rounded brushes, if I need to save any of the settings and I feel like I need to save everything that I have set up with my actual brush settings here, I can easily go into my brush tool and I can actually create a new brush. And when I do create the new brush, I can save all the tools. So I can include the size of the actual preset, and I can also include the color. Now this is something new that they added in from last year, 2018 version of Creative Cloud. But it's still really good to have that, so that way if you're working with specific colors that you need to use or utilize in your art styles, you can easily have that drawn and save it there, and that way you don't have to constantly go back over and over again to different areas. And then when you do save it, you can also save it as a set of different brushes that you may have. You can actually organize these the way you want to, so you can create a new group related to that brush and you can save it there so that it's there for future reference and so forth. Alright, so the last thing I want to go over, this is not really an advanced tool, but this is something I didn't go over in the last video because I just felt like the video would have been too bombarded with information and so forth. And that is the smoothing tool here. And this was introduced again in 2018, and this is a great tool for you to realize and how to smooth out a lot of your brush strokes that you're using. So if you're using either whether it's going to be a drawing tablet or even a mouse, you can really do some really cool stuff with it. So like when you're smoothing out things, you can easily see where different levels of the smoothing will create a delay, but it will calculate a little bit on how to smooth that actual stroke across. So every time you do it, it's going to get smoother and smoother and smoother, and so forth. And there's also options to do a pull string mode. So if I wanted to do a little bit of smoothing or a little bit of style, I can easily pull at the end of the circle here, and what it's going to do is it's going to follow me with tracking on the circle itself. So I can easily do that throughout with no problems. Now there are other tools that do utilize the actual brush itself, but there are certain things that they won't do, and that includes certain brush types won't be there. The spacing, as you can tell, is there and the hardness is there, but other little nuances that you saw from the brush that I did not go over, whether it be the textures, dual brushes, and so forth, all of that I didn't go over. That's going to be for a later video. But like stuff like that won't show up, but you still have the ability to do a lot of cool things with the other brush tools that are there, especially with the content aware functions and so forth. You can actually do some really cool things. Once again, my name is Tony Renas, and this has been a advanced overview on the brush tools in Photoshop.